If everybody was honest about their intentions and what they desired, it would just everything would be way smoother. If men were like, "Look, I want to do this," and women were like, "Look, I want to do this," everything would just be amazing. And it is getting to that point a little bit, but not fully. So you do have some women that are very honest, and you have some men that are very honest. But for the most part, most people are not going to be honest. Most people are going to be too scared to be honest. Most people are going to not want to be judged, and they don't like the uncomfortable emotions they get with being honest. But that just comes with the honesty. And both men and women should be honest. Just be honest in everything you want. For example, me, I know exactly what I want from a woman. I want to have a relationship, but I also want to have sex too. That's simple. I like to learn everything about the woman and see what they're really into, but I'm not going to also sit here and act like I'm not attracted to them because they're sexy. Does that make sense? Because realistically, you're going to like somebody because they're physically attractive first. That's realistic. Even if you're a woman or a man, whatever, you still got to be physically attracted to this person first. Like that's just logic. Like, duh. You have to be attracted to the person. If you're not attracted to the person, then you're probably not gonna like them, and hearing them talk about a bunch of stuff is probably gonna irritate you. So that's number one. You have to be physically attracted to an individual, and then number two, you get to the point where you're interested in what they have to say and what they're talking about and stuff like that. I have noticed that some women get offended by that. Um, Throughout all my experiences with women, there were some women where they did feel disrespected by it, being like, "Oh, so you think I'm hot and that's why you're talking?" It's like, yeah, that's not evil, bro. It's not evil to find a woman attractive and be attracted to her and think she has a beautiful face or nice legs, or beautiful voice, or like her walk, or whatever the case may be. You like that she smells so damn good, and then you get to know her. You know what I'm saying? This is one thing that has always kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like finding someone physically attractive and telling them that they sexy. There's nothing wrong with that. And then afterwards, you tell them, "Hey, look, I do want to get to know you, though. Like, I think you're incredibly hot and incredibly sexy and attractive. I love your voice. I love your lips, whatever, whatever. But I also still want to get to know you and see how you are as a person." But that's how I am. I feel like my outlook is realistic and makes perfect sense when it comes to attraction and relationships and being with a woman. I feel like my way of thinking is just perfect because I'm like, yes, you're gonna physically need to find the person attractive, and then you get to know them, and then you guys bond. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like that's like the normal thing to do. Um, but again, I have little YouTube shorts that will help you in relationships, but this is just like stuff I think about in my mind. I know some people like to hear your inner thoughts and whatnot. So yeah, that is something that I've always thought of is just like, yeah, which like I said, sometimes that works. Some women are like, okay, that makes perfect sense because like I always say, there are going to be different types of women you are going to meet. You're going to meet women who love the fact that you are so invested in getting to know them. Because me personally, I like my woman to be my best friend. you know. So there's some women that are going to really love that you want to get to know them and be their best friend, but there's also some women that are going to be resentful because they're like, "Oh, you're only talking to me because you think I'm hot." It's just like, okay, so you would want me to talk to you if you were unattractive and get to know you, even though that would be me not being attracted to you. It would be me forcing myself to act like I like you, but you're not attractive. So it's like I'm forcing myself to date and like someone I don't like. You get what I'm saying? That would be stupid. That would be dumb. Because like as a woman, you want the same thing. You want a dude who's pretty good looking, and then you want to bond with him and stuff like that. Because you're not gonna date somebody that you don't find physically appealing. That would just make no sense. Um, it is what it is. You gotta find them at least a little attractive. You gotta look at it and be like, okay, she's like a 7. You know what I'm saying? And both men and women do this. That's the funny thing. I've had conversations with both men and women, and both men and women both are like this. You'd actually be surprised. In real life, women actually do be rating niggas too. They'll be like, he's like 5, he's like 7. The internet people will make you think this stuff doesn't exist in real life, but realistically, there are women who are just like niggas. They will be like, he's like 5, or he's like a 2. But the so-called woke side will think that will act like this doesn't happen, but it happens all the time. And there's not really anything wrong with finding somebody appealing and then wanting to go and talk to them. It's like that, duh, you know. But again, we live in this new internet age where people overanalyze shit too much. Back in the day, you thinking woman was sexy was just they loved it. They're like, you'd be like, you sexy as hell. I want to get to know you, and you genuinely wanted to get to know them and be their best friend and bond with them, because you find them hot. And back in the day, some women didn't really find that as like an issue. When I say back in the day, I'm not talking about 40, 50 years ago, because y'all will go like deep into stuff. You'll be like, actually, in 1940, but I'm talking about when I was younger. I'm talking about when I was a teenager. I was a teenager. Women love to hear that. You'd be like, you sexy as hell. I want to take you out somewhere, take you on a date, you know, and it is what it is. Like I said, there was a thing. I've said this in, I think I said it in my one of my YouTube shorts. There was a thing called natural attraction, where a woman just likes a man and a man just likes a woman. And I've had this multiple times. It's this weird thing where it just, boom, it just happens. I call it natural attraction because I can't really think of any other phrasing to use. But there were times where there were women where it just naturally worked. It was just like, sometimes it'd be like, woman asked me for a hug. Like I said, there was a chick I remember when I was younger. She was a couple years younger than me, but she was this like really pretty, skinny white girl with red hair, gorgeous as hell, bro. For those of you who know me, I like multiple different types of women. I like skinny white girls. I like the freaking, what are they called? The alternative black women. I like Mexican chicks. I like alternative. Most of the chicks I like are alternative. I like alternative chicks. I like alternative black chicks, white chicks, Mexican chicks, seen white chicks, seen black chicks. You know, seen Mexican chicks. It's just that's usually the women I vibe with, and those are usually the women that usually have more hobbies and more stuff that they're into. So those are usually the ones I find the most attractive. If they have that scene kind of look, they wearing the black dress with the fishnet, the leggings, it's like they actually might be super cool. I always assume if they're like seen or whatever, they're like super cool. And usually they usually are. But like I said, if you have like a good outlook on the world, if it isn't like you just have a belief where it's like your belief is negative and it's shot and it's just a depressing and angry belief, then that's what's going to be attracted to you. That's what's going to come your way. It's the art of attraction. But if you have the belief of like, man, this chick gonna be cool as hell, usually they cool as hell. That's why I be telling dudes like, don't assume that a chick is gonna be like rude to you, disrespectful to you, or isn't gonna like you. Stop having that weird mindset of thinking that as a man you can't get any women. I don't even know why a lot of dudes have that mindset. Like, don't just assume I can't get no women. Why would you think that way? That's a horrible way of thinking. You don't want to be like, oh, I just can't get no women. Like, what? That don't even make any sense. Why would you want to think like that? You know, that's just a wild way to think. And usually things are gonna go well in real life. Don't even go on Tinder. Tinder is such a waste. Usually, if you go out and like talk to females, you'll end up meeting a female who's like super cool and has a cool vibe. Believe it or not, in real life. But if you try to like talk to people online, usually you're gonna meet people who want to argue and debate, have self-esteem issues, emotional problems. They're just going to be sitting there. You're horrible because, like I said, they have one way of thinking. They only think one way. They assume everything is going to go bad regardless. They assume that they can't do anything in life. And this is the thing too I've realized is that people don't understand that your life is different than theirs and your experiences are different than theirs. So for example, me personally, I've always been kind of in the middle with women. Meaning some years I would get a whole bunch of women and some years I wouldn't get any women. You know what I'm saying? My way was never just, oh, I got embarrassed about a bunch of women and women always thought I was creepy and weird and blah, blah, blah. That isn't my life. My life wasn't like that. Yeah, sure, there were some women who thought I was weird and creepy, some of them, but usually, you know, some women are gonna think you're creepy regardless. Some women are gonna think you're weird regardless. Like there ain't really anything you can really do about that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always say, like, don't worry about the women who call you creepy. And people's feelings change like the weather. I had a couple of females say I was weird, but then they still hung out with me all day, sit in my lap and all that stuff. Like you can't. The thing is that a lot of dudes take what women say a little too seriously. Women gonna talk random shit. That's just how they is, bro. I'll even use my sister as an example. She bonded with me for a whole day. We were having a good time, and then literally, my mom walks in and she starts acting all weird and stuff, and starts like being rude and doing weird shit. You know, she kept trying to grab a pillow away from me, like give me the pillow. Females do weird shit like that, bro. It's not me even, and that's not even me being sexist. It's just the truth. Like people do stuff like that, bro. Don't expect for everything to be perfect. You might have the most amazing day with a woman, and she might say the most dumbest shit you've ever heard at the end of the day, or she might even like try to ruin the day for whatever reason. It could be insecurities, it could be self-esteem issues, whatever. One thing I would say though that will help you with women tremendously is to always, um, what's the word? Always let them know that everything is okay, because a lot of women do have that feeling in the back of their mind that everything isn't okay, and they believe that they have to act tough all the time to prove that they're tough, to prove that they're just as strong as men or even stronger, to prove that they are not weak, which is funny because I've never looked at women and thought they were weak. I've never had just looked at women just like, oh yeah, she's weak, she's a woman. I'm like who even think like, bro, who even thinks like that? Who's just gonna, bro? But my mindset a little different than a lot of people's mindsets, bro. I ain't never was just like, oh yeah, she's a woman, she's weak. Like what the fuck? Like if I thought somebody was weak, it was just because they were weak. It wasn't because they're a woman. Does that make sense? I'm not sexist, I guess. That's just what it is. I'm not sexist, but I will talk about my experiences though. So if I met a woman and she was a bitch, I'll just be like, she was a bitch. But that's not me being like, all women are bitches, blah, blah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because people always think that, bro. Like, I've had a couple of conversations with some women and they were like, oh, you sound like a woman here. I'm like, because I said one woman was a bitch, bro. One? It's like you can literally talk extremely positive about every single woman, but if you talk mess about this one woman, they're like, what? You sexist? And you're like, huh? Off that one woman? I remember I had a female friend. She literally used to talk mess about men all day. It never bothered me, not one time, not even once. I never got bothered by it. Never got my feelings hurt by it. Then I remember I talked mess about this one female, and she was like, "Don't you think that you're being a little too hard on the women?" Really, bro? I talk mess about one chick. That's why my advice to men is just don't even talk mess about women at all. Just leave it alone. I mean, you can talk about your experiences, but I guess try to be more polite with it. I guess. I mean, because some women are super sensitive. It is what it is. Some women aren't though. There's some, again, that was one female friend I had, and she was just extremely overly sensitive about everything. And this is why I'm kind of cautious on who I have as my friend, because some people are very overly sensitive, not just the females, the men as well. I've had some male friends where they were just a little too sensitive, and I'm like, bro, you gotta chill, like calm down. Or they were just too like rude and disrespectful. Like I had one friend where he became like a manager and he started like kind of telling me what to do too much. I was like, bro, you gotta chill, bro. Like we was just on the same level like a month ago. Like, calm down. I had a friend like that or whatever, but yeah, it was like I wasn't trying to make stuff like complicated for my boy, but it was just like you can't go from us being like we on the same level, we all cool, to now you trying to be like, yeah, nigga, go over there, nigga, and like the nigga really said it like that. I'm like, bro, you gotta chill, bro, chill. Yeah, you a manager. Look, I'll do whatever you ask at the job, but like, still be respectful with it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I respect you being a manager, but just don't be rude. You know. But yeah, that's just how it is. People are going to be sensitive about things. You're not going to find a person who's just like perfect in the sense of they're not going to get their feelings hurt at least a little bit, and you're not going to 100% like a person. This is something I realized. If you can like a person at least 60% of the time, that's good. That's really freaking good if you can like a person at least 60%. That's a lot. Meaning that most of the time y'all cool as hell with each other. If you like a person, if you could like a person 90% of the time, that is freaking beautiful. You have made it. That's a lot. Matter of fact, I would say you made it if you could like a person like 80% of the time, you didn't made it. Where only just 20% of what they do bothers you, that's amazing. I use percentages because it's just easier to do it that way. But yeah, like most people, I only like about 40, 50%. Some people I like 10%. I'll be like, bro, but I usually go by the percentages. That's how my mind works. I'll be like, I like this person 70%. They cool. If I like you, like every single time I talk to you, if every single time we have a conversation, I'm in a good mood every time, I'm never irritated, hey, you a real one then. uh, but yeah, I don't want this to be too long. I don't want to have no 20, 30-minute videos. I'm trying to keep everything low. Even 16, I'm on 16 minutes. Even that is a little too high.